His name is Shaun Scott. He's 6'3". He's a 235-pound edge. He's from Mater Dei, and he's coming to USC to play middle linebacker.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you. Thank you so much for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network your first listen every single day. Whether you're watching this show on YouTube, you know you can pick a platform. You can download this podcast. It's always going to be free, and I am always going to appreciate your support. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com, and you're going to get 50% off your first year. On Sunday, USC started the week off right. Well, technically it's still a weekend. Nevertheless, look at the calendar. Sunday, first day of the week. They got another commitment from one of the state's best defensive players. 4-star, Santa Ana, California, Mater Dei. Again, he's listed as an edge player. Shaun Scott, he's committed to USC. I just want to make it very clear. Trojans are pursuing Scott as a linebacker. And Coach Rob Ryan, he's actually been in charge of this recruiting since he became a member of the staff. Again, want to make it very clear. USC coaching staff wants it to be very clear. Shaun Scott is going to be a linebacker at USC. He'll get a chance to rush the passer. However, right after Shaun's announcement, I put a post up on X that USC is stacking its number one recruiting class. And I was using the On3 Network's photo edit, and it still listed Shaun Scott as a 4-star edge. Well, literally within 5 minutes, less than that, I had a text from one of the coaches on USC staff, and it said, "Thanks, Mark. He's not an edge. He's playing inside linebacker." I said, "Hey, coach, I ain't arguing. I'm just the messenger right now." Anyways, USC now has two linebackers committed for their 2026 recruiting cycle. You got the 5-star Xavier Griffin from Georgia. Now you got Shaun Scott from Mater Dei, 4-star. And I think everyone should start anticipating USC getting their third linebacker soon. I don't know the exact date yet. I don't think anybody does. But yeah, Talanoa Ely. It's going to happen soon. Not too shabby, if you ask me. That's a hell of a recruiting class. That's a hell of a linebacker class. Xavier Griffin, the top linebacker, one of the top linebackers in the entire country from the state of Georgia. You're getting Shaun Scott, one of the best defensive players in the state of California, regardless of the position he's playing. And you've got Talanoa Ely on standby. I'll take it. I will take it. As far as Shaun Scott is concerned, USC was up there. They were recruiting against some of the big names: Michigan, Miami, Texas, Washington. That was the competition. He plays on that same defensive line that Tom Tapui plays on at Mater Dei. And let me tell you, I went and watched some of his film. Shaun's athleticism is off the charts. I mean, his highlights pop. And I get it, it's a highlight reel, but still, they pop. I really understand why USC wants him at linebacker. You can really see it. His pass coverage skills, excellent. Excellent. He also has some really quick feet. And when he's at the line of scrimmage, he plays with, at the point of attack, he's got some violent hands. I mean, he's chopping wood. You will not get the best of him in those one-on-one competitions. And he's always finding a way to find that ball carrier. He's just a disruptive force in the backfield. Straight up, dude is a baller, right? And he's coming to USC. And yes, part of the reason is he wants to play with his good friend on and off the field, Tom Tapui. He's got a lot to do with it. So USC got a commitment on Sunday. I'm not sure anyone thought it was going to happen. I mean, they knew there was some feeling USC's probably going to get Shaun Scott. I don't think anyone anticipated it happening over the weekend, though. And here's a cool side story. I think this is why it happened. If you want me to kind of develop a conspiracy theory, a good positive one, here we go. I think this is how both of these commitments came about. Okay, USC got one, so did Oregon. And this is why it caught my attention, especially since I know how competitive this USC coaching staff is when it comes to California recruiting. They want everybody. They know they can't get everybody, but they want them all. So if they can't get the ones they want when they want them, they're up to playing a little recruiting games, playing some optics. On Saturday, Oregon got and again, I'm using figure quotes, an expected commitment, albeit I don't know if you saw the weird, cringy commitment video from Richard Wesley and Oregon's head coach Dan Lanning. It's all over social media. I'm starting to feel bad for the young man. This one was just weird. Oregon was always his leader, right? But I don't think anyone thought he was ready, that Richard was going to commit on this most recent unofficial visit. His parents weren't there. Long story short, Richard Wesley, he's sitting on a chaise lounge around the pool up in Eugene. He's wearing his underwear. And then all of a sudden, he gets up, says a few words, and then he and Oregon's head coach Dan Lanning, they do this cannonball dive into the pool. What makes it so weird, you look at what's going on, there's a couple of co-eds in bikinis, but it's 50 degrees outside under gray skies. That's not really bikini weather. So again, I think this was one of those let's make some news type of things. Hey, you're here. Let's commit. Don't get me wrong, right? Richard Wesley is a big time defensive end from Sierra Canyon. He was supposed to be a member of the 2027 recruiting class. He reclassified for 2026. USC wants him, okay? And USC believes he's a great prospect. I've talked to the coaching staff. I know how much they would love to have this young man. But they would prefer that he stayed and developed in high school and come out in 2027. So USC is just not prepared to pay that NIL asking price for this cycle. Mostly because if he shows up in 2026, he's not going to be ready to play, at least on USC's roster. Don't forget, USC brought in a lot of guys in the 2025 class who are going to be playing. So maybe Wesley surprises and is good enough. USC just had to take a calculated risk and said, you know what, we just can't afford you in this class. So basically, they made the business decision. We're just not going to pay you for 2026. We want you, but if you want to wait till 2027, let's talk. Anyway, so here's where the conspiracy comes in. I'm not sure if USC knew, or maybe they caught wind of this impromptu, really, again, it was a really cringy commitment video that came out around 6 p.m. Saturday, West Coast time. However, around noontime on Saturday, so well before this video was released, Shaun Scott posted on X that he was going to make his announcement at 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon. He did. We know the result. He's a Trojan. So Richard Wesley commits Saturday evening, early evening. Oregon fan is all excited. They're jumping around. We're back in the game. We've killed the slump that we were in, yada, yada, yada. They're feeling good. And then all of a sudden, Richard Wesley's dad chimed in the morning. Sunday morning. His father's name was Jonathan. He said, basically, Richard's committed for now, but we're going to take more visits and make sure. Quote, it was kind of like a shock. We had a plan set in stone, but I guess the overexcitement, this whole process is a lot on a kid. It's a lot on us adults. Ultimately, when I talked to him, he didn't tell me to shut the recruiting down, and he's still very much open and interested in other places. This definitely isn't a final decision because there's a lot to be finalized, end quote. Bottom line, dot the I's, cross the T's, make sure the NIL contract is correct. That's what that whole message was about. So if you're a USC fan, you're like, ouch. That's kind of the ultimate father block. I could use another word, but you understand where I'm going with this. And then, so again, that happened Sunday morning. And then a few hours later on Sunday, Shaun Scott, the linebacker from Mater Dei, closes out USC's weekend with a commitment. Not bad, right? The perfect way to end a weekend. Oregon gets a commitment, sort of. They're feeling really good. And then all of a sudden they're not because like, oh, you know what? This one's probably not going to stick. Richard Wesley's going to go take some official visits to some big heavy hitters. We'll see how this one plays out. I don't think he ends up at USC, not unless some sort of arrangement can be made. But again, USC got the guy they wanted. And in the end, they feel very confident. And this is what Shaun Scott had to say. This is why he decided it was time to just shut it down, make the commitment to USC. Quote, they're taking California very serious. I talk to them mostly every day, and they tell me every day I am a priority. They tell me how well I fit in their defense, and they want to get me over there. They see me fitting into their defense as a stack backer, and then on third down, coming in to rush the quarterback. I definitely see myself playing early. They have 3 graduates, 2 walk-ons, so I can definitely see myself playing early. I got a relationship with every coach. It started with my freshman year with Coach Shaun Nua, and that carried on to the new staff and with Rob Ryan, Chad Bowden, and Coach Henny, Eric Henderson. Those guys went to work too. So that's really big. Yeah. My biggest relationship now is with Rob Ryan. So there you go. USC got a commitment from the linebacker they wanted. One of the 3 they wanted. They got 2 of them now. Shaun Scott, Mater Dei, and USC's feeling pretty good. There's a reason why USC's feeling pretty good. We're going to talk about this in the next segment. USC has taken a different approach than what they've done in the past. You're either in or you're out. There's no dating. Make a commitment. Understand what the word commitment means. We're going to talk about that in the next segment. Yep. You check your bank account and you go, man, I need more money and I need it yesterday. Where did all my money go? You're probably like me. You like to spend money online. You like to travel. You like to eat out. You spend your money the way you should. Anyways, this is where Monarch Money comes in. It's like having your own personal CFO. It's going to give you full visibility and total control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending, and you can do it all in one place. So you can stop managing your money, start building up some wealth. And I think you're going to love the all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps on your phone, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan some long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com, and you're going to get 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Lincoln Riley, Chad Bowden, general manager, they have just one rule if you commit to USC's 2026 recruiting class. If you commit, you're in for the long haul. No more hookup recruiting. Like no more hookup dating. We're not going to try this out and see how it works. You're either in or you're out. Let me give you a perfect example. Late last week, I believe it was on Friday, the wide receiver from Waxahachie, Texas, Cohen Brown, he decided he wanted to take a couple more official visits. He got an offer from Notre Dame, and that kind of opened his eyes, added to his 42 offers that he already had. And, he told the coaching staff, I think I'm going to take some more official visits. USC's coaching staff said, all right, you might as well consider yourself a decommit then. There were no hard feelings, right? I don't want to. I don't want this to come across as like USC told them to kick rocks. And they kind of did, but it wasn't like that. But USC is going. They want to develop their relationships. They want 3-year relationships. They don't want, all right, I'm committed, but I'm going to go visit type of relationships. No one ever said growing up was easy, okay? Let's just get that out of the way. I remember growing up, and I wasn't in any type of situation or position that these young men are in. But, I had some tough decisions to make, whether to stay in the house, go outside of the house. Dad always yelling at me, in a row. Got tired of hearing that screen door slamming shut. Well, it was annoying, and I get it. I was constantly running in and out of the house, always forgetting something, changing my mind, whatever. You know what else is annoying? Recruits. The recruits who can't decide where they want to school and where they want to play their college sport, whether it's football, basketball, whatever. Let's just focus on football for the time being. And it's really annoying, especially in this era where money and agents are involved. Until recently, I was always encouraging the recruits, hey, take all of those official visits. Get them out of the way. Make sure you're making a great informed decision. And I would say that even after they made a public commitment. Look, I think everyone would agree the best way would be take your visits, then make your decision. But that's not how the mind of a teenager works. I'm not sure if that's even how the mind of an adult works, but we tend to be a little bit more, I don't know. I think we take our time when we have to make important decisions. So that's all I'm saying is I think these young men should probably take their time rather than just commit for the sake of committing. Kind of like what happened over the weekend with Richard Wesley. If you've followed USC football recruiting long enough, that that was always the standard operating procedure, especially during those Pete Carroll years. Literally, look, when your program's winning 34 games in a row and national championships and putting out 3 Heisman winners in a 4-year period, you kind of have a little bit of latitude. You'll feel confident. You feel arrogant enough to say, you know what? Go ahead, see if there's a better program out there. We'll wait. USC could do that because they were literally selecting the best players that they wanted in the state of California. So if you didn't want to be a part of the class, USC was going to fill in that spot just fine. Was that a little arrogant? Probably. So what? Who cares, right? The difference between confident and arrogant is how you walk that line. And then you really put in the eye of the beholder. I have no problem with someone who's arrogant. I really don't. Sometimes I tend to be. However, as far as recruiting goes, I think times have changed. And it has everything to do with all the money that's involved. Having to, stay committed for longer periods of time. The transfer portal doesn't help. What hasn't changed, though, is recruits are still being paid, but everything today is above the table. Before it used to be under the table. I mean, we could talk about the whole Nico from Tennessee, who's now a UCLA Bruin. Amialayava. Why can I never spit that freaking name out? Anyhow, out of high school, he was paid. Well, he was told, you stay at Tennessee for the duration, you can make up to $8 million by the time you leave here. We know how that situation ended. He's now a UCLA Bruin. He's not going to be making nearly as much as he was at Tennessee. So USC is taking a different approach with its 2026 recruiting class. They're willing to pay the high school recruits money. Do what everybody else has been doing. That's the new way. You got to pay off. But if they're doing it, you have to make the commitment to USC that you're in. There's no flip-flopping. Whatever USC's doing this cycle, it's working. Right? They've got the number one recruiting class. We're not even in June yet. We haven't even started the official visits. But Lincoln Riley, Chad Bowden, they put together the number one rated recruiting class. But again, the only decision they're asking the recruits to make before they commit is make the choice. Are you in or you out? So in other words, if you commit and you want to play for USC, there's no reason to take any more campus visits to schools who want you also. That's it, period. Full stop. You're in or you're out. Cohen Brown decided he wasn't in anymore. USC's not playing the hookup game, right? There's no time to waver, play the dating field. USC's going to move on without you. They want a commitment to a relationship. Again, there's nothing wrong if you change your mind. That's fine. And I actually appreciate the fact that that the coaching staff know this early that, hey, you know what? I might have jumped the gun. That's okay. Just like in any relationship, that stuff happens. But with that said, again, once you decide that you need to think about it a little bit more, go on another date, you're out. Period. No hard feelings. But, remember when you're dating with someone, you had to break up and you'd use the line or she'd use the line, it's not you, it's me. This time it's USC saying, it's not us, it's you. We're committed, you're not. In the past, I've been against this approach. But I'll tell you what, and if there was a gun to my head, I'd probably go back to the old school Pete Carroll way. Again, because, back then, again, you're winning like they were, there wasn't a better attractive offer or an option than USC. Not unless there was money involved. But too much has changed in the last 15 to 20 years. Just the way it is. Between the transfer portal, free agency, NIL, all that coming together, the definition of commitment has lost its meaning. So yeah, USC doesn't want to play the hookup culture anymore with recruiting. If you want to be a part of the Trojan family, make the commitment, and you'll be taken care of. They'll make you feel like a family, like you're the only one. So yeah, they're taking an opposite approach to the way Pete Carroll used to build his rosters, but they're taking one thing they are doing that Pete Carroll did was they're putting that fence up around California, Southern California. They're keeping the best at home. And if you look at that recruiting class, it shows it. They've got the number one, they got two of the best defensive backs in RJ Sermons and Brandon Lockhart. They got the number one running back in Jashawn Rideau. You've got the linebackers. You've got Simone Katoana, the best edge player. Tom Tapui. You can see what they're doing. If you make a commitment to USC, your days of dating other programs are over. King Pepe, shut it down. I think Shaun Scott, he's done too. I'm not hearing any rumors or speculation of any of the guys who are committed taking other visits. So yeah, you get two choices. You want to come to USC? Great. You're in or you're out. Don't commit unless you're ready. So our friends over at FanDuel have set USC's win total for the 2025 season. Yep. They set the over-under at 7.5. Seems like easy money in my book. I would have said the same thing last year. In fact, I did. Yeah, I would have lost big. But I think that's going to be their benchmark for the coming season. Makes sense if you think about it. If you're an everyday viewer of the show, you already know I'm on record that anything less than 9 wins in 2025 is going to be a major, major, major underachievement. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet, and you should be an everydayer, click that red subscribe button, smash that thumbs up. Both of those are going to continue to help this show grow. And you're not going to want to miss any information. Click that bell notification. You're all set, okay? So I'm already on record. Anything less than 9 wins in 2025, major underachievement. Lincoln Riley should probably be dusting off his resume. The reason being is Coach Riley is 26-14 in his first 3 years at USC, which you look at it on the surface, like, all right, that's not bad, not great. It's not USC standard. It's not bad. But then you start peeling back the layers and you go, all right, well, 11 of those 26 wins came in his first year. That means 15 combined over the next 2 years. And now you know why 7.5 wins is the bar that's being set. Because that's what they've been averaging over the last 2 years. 15 divided by 2, 7.5. That's good enough if you're UCLA or Minnesota. But that's not good enough for USC, especially at the price that USC is paying Lincoln Riley. Yeah, that's 7.5 wins. That doesn't get it done. That dog doesn't hunt. Look, I don't care if it sends me to the poorhouse. I'm halfway there anyway, but I'm pounding the over. I'm pounding it, and I'm not being a homer on this one. There's just a strong vibe around the program this year. It's different. The defense is better. It's deeper. I don't anticipate Lincoln Riley's offense tripping over its kickstand on the road every game this year. Here's why I'm pounding the over on that 7.5. USC is going to be 3-0 before they take on Michigan State at home in the Coliseum. Remember, Missouri State, Georgia Southern to open at home. Travel to Purdue, you're 3-0. You come home, you beat Sparty, you're 4-0 before you head off to Champaign, Illinois to take on what should be top 10, top 15 Fighting Illini team. So after that game, after the game against the Fighting Illini, best case scenario, USC's 5-0. Or let's say they lost on the road to a top 10 team, they're 4-1. Then they come home, they get a bye week before they host Michigan. You're either going to be 5-1 or 6-0. Getting pretty close to that 7.5 bar, right? Then it's off to South Bend. So 5-1, 6-0, you're heading off to play Notre Dame, possibly for the last time in South Bend, Indiana, at least for the foreseeable future. If you're an everydayer, you understand what I'm talking about. We talked about this on an episode last week. Go check it out. So coming back from playing Notre Dame, USC can be 7-0. They could be 6-1. They could be 5-2. Then they get the bye week. So now which way are you leaning when USC travels to Lincoln, Nebraska the following week after the bye? Do you feel good about USC winning at Nebraska? Remember, USC could have as many as 0 losses up to 2. It's going to be somewhere between 0 and 2. After Nebraska, USC plays 2 games in a row at home. Northwestern and Iowa. Those are wins. So let's assume USC has 5 wins heading into those games. Now you're at 7. You got to win those, right? Then you're off to Eugene, and then you host UCLA. What do you think? I think USC's a 10-win team. I'm not ready to say where those 2 losses are coming yet. Notre Dame might be one of them. Nebraska could be one. We talked about trap games before. Is Michigan State a trap game before heading to Illinois? Let me know. Tell me how you feel about it. I'll be back again with another episode tomorrow. We're just getting started this week. Who knows? I have no idea who else is committing. Could be this week. Could be the following week. Don't forget, official visits start in June. But whatever happens with USC, Locked On USC is the place to be. I'm going to have you covered, everything you need to know. And when you're done watching the Locked On USC, head on over to wearesc.com. Check out all the cool written content that I've got, that Eric McKinney, that Scott Schrader's keeping you up to date with recruiting. Chris Arledge, he put out a story over the weekend. Good stuff. And we've got a $1 subscription special. Take advantage of it. So until then, everyone, until that next episode of Locked On USC, you know what to do.